Let's be real, the ending of Stranger Things was ass. Stranger Things will always be Stranger Things, if not one of the most iconic shows of the 20th century, and we were lucky enough to be alive for it. Even if the ending was poopy ass, which I think it would still hold up. But I can't help but mourn the truly amazing show that it could have been. I'm talking up there with Sopranos or Breaking Bad, maybe even better. And in my personal opinion, the show lost its special spark, and honestly, its whole point, after season 2, for me. Before the cringy, unnecessary characters, before they ruined the cool, mysterious small-town color grading with oversaturation and overpriced Hollywood budgeting. And let's not even talk about the corny-ass dialogue they all started doing.
What's something freak?
That took away from the seriousness and actual frightening aspect of the show. Actually, can we talk about it? Because I just watched season 1, and I forgot what a masterpiece the show truly was. It doesn't even seem like the same show. It was actually scary, because there was an unsettling rawness to each character, and Hopkins felt like a depressing nowhere town in the 1980s, with a dark secret that only these few individuals knew about. It was a true sci-fi mystery thriller. The comedic aspect came naturally from the reality of the situation that actually made those moments that were funny.
Nancy?
She's not here.
And who is that?
Shit! Did he see us?
Oh, shit. Listen.
It wasn't forced or trying to be funny at those moments, and didn't need these crazy CGI fight scenes or corny-ass dialogue. And I know what they were trying to do by 3. I got the hint that they wanted this show to turn more into an actual 80s feeling show, with the slapstick humor and bright colors, but in my opinion, it just made a very cool show into some rushed, careless, Marvel-like, Netflix overpriced dumpster fire, with too many plot holes to name. Because I think the true aesthetic and vibes of the show were in the rawness of 1 and 2, that felt so personal. It was the fact that it truly felt like these were real people in the 80s, with real lives and dealing with something otherworldly. A lot of people I talked to about this argue that the show actually lost its spark in season 3. And yeah, I can argue with that one, especially after watching 4 and 5, and then 3. I will say 3 still had some good qualities about it. It didn't have as much plot holes. And I get why they'd make it a little brighter for that season, for the aesthetic of summer and the 1980s teenage summer loving feel. But again, I feel like it was the beginning of the end for the true mood and thought through storyline they had with 1 and 2. Like, I'm sorry, why did they think it would be a good idea to throw in the secret Russian tunnels underneath a mall in a small town in Indiana? Yeah, you lost me there. Like, they wanted to keep making it scarier and bigger and brighter, but in reality, it just kept making the true magic of the show smaller and smaller. It completely lost the true intensity and realness of the show. I mean, if that's what the audience wanted, they could just watch some dumb, whack Marvel Avengers movie. No, the fans liked watching the show in season 1 when they first pressed play because the mental and emotional aspect of the characters used to matter. So when the group was fighting the Demogorgons at Joyce's house in season 1 and season 2, it was 1,000 times more intense and scary than Superman jumping into a giant monster, like some bad Dune movie with like kids like glued against the wall and Vecna. Like, what the actual fuck was that? Or remember how emotional it was when Mike finds out that Eleven is alive in season 2. Remember that shit? That was top-notch acting and cinematography. That had me crying. And then playing that little Stranger Things number in the back. Ugh, it was beautiful.
I don't blame her, I blame you! I blame you!
That's okay, kid. That's okay.
No, nothing about this is okay! Nothing about this is okay!
Oh,
You're stupid, disgusting
Okay.
liar, you
Right.
piece of shit!
Stop it.
Liar!
Stop it.
Liar!
That's okay.
Liar!
Stop it. Stop it.
Liar!
You're okay, kid. You're okay.
Then compare that to the newest season where Elle is literally sacrificing herself saying goodbye to Mike as they unnecessarily blast Purple Rain, and it doesn't really seem like the group gives a shit. Mind you, they literally gave these two no relationship development after 3. I didn't feel any sadness after watching that. I was like, okay, that was a dumbass death for a character that literally made the show. No, but okay, they'll give that like 2 seconds, but they'll have an hour scene of Max and Holly yapping in this bad green screen upside down. What? Who gives a shit? Do you actually remember Winona's performance in season 1? It was breathtaking. It felt like I was watching the first season of True Detective, another show that went to shit, but if it was like on crack, in the best way possible.
Are you safe?
You actually felt Joyce's emotions deeply. It actually gave the viewer anxiety because you just wanted to understand where this woman's son went. And the whole town thought she was a nutcase, but simultaneously feeling so deeply for Jonathan because it was genuinely emotional watching his character go through this. He was truly misunderstood, to the point you just wanted to jump through the screen and help this poor family out. It wasn't about this fuck-ass Mr. What's-It or some cheeseball fighting bats with a guitar. I had to skip that shit. No, it didn't need any of that because they actually put emphasis on each character's reality that made you feel connected with them. I remember the moment it registered that this show was going to be big when Joyce was speaking to Will through the light. That moment where he spells out run, it was absolutely terrifying. It sucked me in.
How do I get to you? How do I find you? What should I do?
Compared to them fighting some giant CGI monster in like this Dune dimension, or them like blowing up this giant monster with fireworks, dressed in some whack-ass Disney character movie outfits. You're telling me the budget of these episodes were like $5 million and this is what you give us? Not only did the plot feel lost, but the Duffel brothers straight up said, nah, let's ditch the deep understanding and emotional aspect of the characters in the show. I want more scary monsters and unnecessary corny scenes. I'm sorry, anyone can make an action-packed sci-fi show. That's not what made the show special. The characters made the show what it was. How damaged and lost this strange girl was, and watching her bond with kids her age, even though she was nothing like them. How the popular jock gets tied into the strange group, but it was so natural and funny that it actually made it funny. How a depressed cop began to genuinely care about what the hell is going on in this weird town. How the situation and Elle in this town brings these different characters all together, and in the end of season 2 or season 1, it all connects these strange characters together. But seriously, what the fuck? For example, Mike. Let's not forget he was basically the main fucking character. And he was one of my favorites, too. He was the leader of the group. Despite him not having powers or getting sucked in the upside down, the narrative was coming from his character. We were in his position. This created a deeper connection to him and the friend groups, and Elle, that felt like we were one of the kids. So when things got scary for them in season 1 and season 2, it was actually scary. Also, him and Elle, let's go over that again, completely destroyed the really beautiful relationship these two had with each other. Elle was his everything, and we felt that. Truly, he loved this girl. Risking his life for her in season 1, hiding her away in his house, him going through this depression when he thought she was dead in season 2, calling her every day for 300 whatever he says.
Every night for 353 days. I heard.
Just in case she's alive. And you mean to tell me this boy can't even write I love you in season 4? And just moves the fuck on in the end after he sees her get evaporated? I'm sorry, the real Mike in 1 and 2 would have died for this girl. You mean to tell me he just went off to college and he said, welp, there goes my only true love I've ever had for my whole life, that protected me and saved my life a million times, and I just witnessed die. Same with the rest of the group. They all just move on so fast. So now rewatching all these scenes where they are risking their lives for her means nothing. So I can't rewatch the show without realizing how badly they fucked up. I mean, even watching the Duffel brothers talk about the show, you can tell they just put their mind where their money was and not where the creativity was that they started out with. They never really explained why the Upside Down is stuck the day Will got kidnapped. And now they're just gonna move on after they watched her get evaporated, so ultimately proving Elle's insecurities right. When for 4 seasons all she could cry about is that she'll never be like them, and she was kind of just this monster that no one cares about. Well, I guess she's right. You mean to tell me that Dustin made a corny-ass graduation speech, not dedicated to Eleven, who protected him and his friends for his whole life, but for his friend from a D&D game that was a cornball who died because he thought it was a good idea to fight these things with a guitar, and you only knew him for like how many months? Okay, but your friend that literally was with you your whole life, you just witnessed get evaporated. But let's make the graduation speech about Eddie. They should erase that character completely. I genuinely feel bad for the actors and actresses in the show, because all of them, meaning the OG cast, are incredibly talented just from watching season 1 and 2 alone. And now, a lot of the people are saying that the new seasons, the acting was bad, but I believe they were just giving really, really shitty scripts that absolutely destroyed their characters. Imagine being a character for 10 years and then season 5, you're given that fuck-ass script. Yeah, I wouldn't want to act that out either. Just because the Duffel brothers wanted to play out their action-packed big-budget wet dream instead of actually honing in on this incredible dynamic their cast had, no, they just threw in one useless random character after the next. I'm sorry. Why was Eddie even needed? Or that dumbass Holly shit? Who gives a fuck about her? The whole damn class, too. Like, what? Another side plot I absolutely didn't give a fuck about. That shit was so corny, and I couldn't help but skip through most of it. It was so damn boring, too. I'm sorry. Wasn't this once an Academy-nominated show with actual depth? Honestly, they should have thrown the whole Vecna plotline in the garbage. That just made it 10 times more cheesier. Also, you mean to tell me, Steve, Nancy, Jonathan, that nothing happens there? They just, move on, talk about their future with their fuck-ass new haircuts, act like they barely know each other? Jonathan asking Steve if he knows anyone for him? Huh? I'm sorry. Didn't they have this whole development where you have matching scars with this girl Nancy because in high school she literally helped you fight a monster that took out your brother? Didn't Steve risk his life for this girl many times? Didn't he have countless scenes talking about how she's the only girl he ever loved? At this point, I wish they just killed him off, honestly. That would have been better. Because I couldn't even watch that last scene where they're all sitting on the roof. Stakes need to be higher here. You're telling me that the final fight is like 11 minutes long and they just chop off Vecna's head with some cheesy ass flashbacks that, oh my god, the flashbacks. I'm sorry, that's just bad writing if you need to keep doing flashbacks. Then go on their merry way and the man that raised this girl as his own. And there was a whole plot line in 2 where he takes her in and it was so sweet because he lost a daughter and she was the new daughter and he made sure no one hurt her. And he just like accepts he's gonna kill herself because she says, hey, thanks for taking care of me, but I ain't your dead daughter. And I'm not a kid anymore. Mind you, yes she is. She's supposed to be like 16 in this season. Also, you can take out 1,000 military men and fight an unnecessarily giant monster in another world, but you can't surpass them when the most important person in your life is sacrificing herself. Then just go on to be like, hey, Mike, it's sad. You can be sad about it or you can just, get married and move on. Move away from this town. Let's all graduate and have a good time. And forget about that girl. That, she didn't mean anything. I personally think that Mike himself should have died for her, considering the fact that he said about 1,000 times throughout the show, and it was a very clear point in 2 that he could not lose her again, considering it would be, pretty poetic and a good parallel to the first season when she sacrifices himself to him. But boy oh boy, this ending couldn't get any worse. And there's a theory going around that everything feels off because Mike is actually trapped in Vecna's head. And sure, maybe they can pull some last minute redemption with that one. But let's be real for a second. If your audience is at a point where they're convincing themselves the entire ending is fake, something already went wrong. Because even if the theory turns out to be true, it doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't change the fact that a once carefully crafted atmospheric mystery, something genuinely cinematic, was slowly turning into this corny, overstuffed, overpriced Netflix product. I checked out immediately when the whole Vecna storyline came in and marked the moment the show truly lost its grip on reality. The mystery stopped being grounded and tense and instead turned into a spectacle. What used to feel uncanny and possible became loud, exaggerated, cheap, and corny. And this is coming from someone who loved the show. I grew up on it. Season 1 and Season 2 were on constant repeat for me. The vibes were unmatched. So I think the real takeaway here isn't just about Stranger Things. It's about art in general. If you're ever lucky enough to create something people truly connect with, don't lose your vision the second money and scale enters the room. Don't trade intention or excess, because the audience that recognized your vision originally, they can feel that shift immediately.